Good afternoon. This is Dr. David back with another, hopefully healing, and I don't use that word lightly, episode of Fresh Start with Dr. David. I hope you have been doing well. It just started raining. It's been raining today here, which is good because these allergens have been killing me. Oh my God. Not to mention the weight gain that goes associated with taking antihistamines, even if you take them sparingly, even if you take newer generation ones, they have all the cholinergic side effects, weight gain, dry mouth, all that fun stuff. But anyway, welcome back. I was planning on doing this episode on several different topics, and those include balance or life balance, emotional balance, psychological balance, your commitment to your values, principles, and beliefs as they remain still and as they change at the same time. And then the concept of balance always being in a state of flux and evolution. So balance as a changing entity or changing force. And then also the concept of fighting emotional and psychological gravity, which is, I don't think anybody's ever said it that way before, but that's something that I came up with maybe a week ago and decided to talk about it. But it's the concept of, and I'll use a bunch of different examples to talk about it. It's the concept of emotional and psychological gravity. And then also, there were some examples that I was going to use to talk about some of these things. Then I was also going to talk about ongoing growth and therapy and lifestyle choices. However, I realized on my calendar today that it is World Healing Day. And so in light of that, I want to switch to that. I love the word healing. I did a post on my Facebook page recently where I talked about when people ask me what I do, in the context of the fact that, I'm an MD who doesn't really practice medicine. I also do therapy. I do life coaching. I do a lot of things. But basically what I think I do is I help people heal. And the cool thing about it is if you're in a healing profession, hopefully, when you heal other people, it helps you heal as well. Now, that's not always the case because it depends on what kind of healing you do. But in my arena, I feel like because I'm doing my purpose and what I was built and created and love to do, that it heals me too. Because when I get insights with my clients, whether it's my clients from my private practices or the clients that I help work with in my consulting work in forensic addictions psychiatry, I feel like it helps me too. It gives me insight and it makes it easier to deal with some of my own issues when I help other people come up with solutions to theirs, right? So with that in mind, I'm going to talk about healing today, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it, but I love the word heal. It's a 4-letter word. It's a positive 4-letter word compared to some other 4-letter words, but it is a positive 4-letter word and it applies to everything. I mean, what does healing or heal not apply to? I don't know. I was trying to think of an exception to that rule. What about God? Does God heal? I don't know. That's a great question, right? I've never asked that question. I've never heard anybody else ask it. Is God healed? If you believe in the Bible, I suppose that Jesus maybe received some healing, I suppose, depending on how you look at Easter or how you analyze it. But does God heal? Does the world heal? Does the universe heal? Do time and space heal? Does our planet heal, regardless of whether it's Earth Day or not? Do we heal? Do we truly heal? It's a great question. Can we heal this planet? And I don't just mean emotionally and psychologically, but also physically. Can we reverse some of the damage we've done? That's a great question. And so that's why I wanted to talk about healing, because World Healing Day, I think, is important and we should all think about it. One of the things that I've noticed, and I just kind of alluded to that with my previous comments, is this. When you help other people, and by the way, I'll just share what you hear in the background. Number one, you hear subliminal audio, which I strongly believe in. So those ocean waves that you hear, those are subliminal audios. I've been using those since 1993, 4. I strongly believe in them. I recommend them and use them with all of my clients. I have them on every topic. And if you come to me as a client, you'll get access to all of them, hundreds of them at no extra cost. The other thing you hear are the sounds of dolphins. So we all know that animals have healing effects on people. Dolphins, I would put at the top of the list. I would also probably put elephants there. Dolphins, elephants, dogs would definitely be at the top of the list. You could put cats there too, or some types of cats, although Cats, they're a little bit more mysterious. They're a little bit more reserved. Birds, I believe, are certainly healing. The birds outside my house and outside my office heal, and I chirp with them all the time to align my frequencies, my emotional frequencies with theirs, and get some sense of healing. But animals are certainly healing. Horses are thought to be healing. That's why there's equine therapy. Art is thought to be healing. Exercise is certainly thought to be healing. So the sounds you hear in the background is a screensaver, an application that I use, and I don't work for this company, so I'm not trying to boost their sales or anything, but I'm just trying to share what has helped me. But there's a company called Screen Wonders, and you can download their apps on the Mac App Store. Sure, you can find them at their website and things like that. They make screensavers, I believe, for Windows and for Mac. But basically what they do is they have these things that are playing in the background. And just think about how much what's going on in the back of your mind plays in what's going on, or what you're able to handle or capable of handling in the foreground of your mind. So I use these screensavers with my clients. They're usually on playing in the background. They surprise people. Even when I'm helping with resolve, family conflicts and things like that, I have it playing in the background, and somebody's like, "What's this?" And they get upset. And then they'll realize it's dolphins. And all of a sudden I break their cycle of being upset. So I use it purposely and consistently because it has healing properties. And I love dolphins. I love the ocean. I think it's a healing force. I really do. It's one of the best healing forces I think that's available on this planet, if we don't totally screw it up like a lot of other things. But dolphins, whales, fish, all those things, I think they're healing, whether you're consuming some types of fish or things, or whether you're getting healing directly by touching them or playing around in the water with them. So anyway, those are my dolphins you hear in the background, and it's wonderful because they disarm the cycle of negativity for me. Maybe they don't work in every situation, but for me, when a negative thought comes up, or a negative belief, or a negative emotion or feeling, that changes the game and it snaps me out of it. So it reduces this screensaver, this dolphin screensaver, greatly reduces how much time I spend in negativity, and makes me spend more time in places like gratitude and happiness and contentment and positivity. So if you haven't checked out I love this one, but they make themes from the jungle to the sea to everything else you can imagine. So anyway, check those out. But let's talk about healing. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time about it, but I'm going to talk about it just in one simple concept. And I think that if you use this concept and utilize it for real in your life, not just think about it, but if you feel it, use it, become it, it'll make a big difference. And that's this: when you help other people heal, you heal. When you help other people in other ways, you help yourself in those same ways. If you help somebody else manage their money, you help yourself. If you help somebody else manage their feelings and emotions, you help yourself. If you help somebody else manage challenges and problems and issues and dilemmas and things and negative patterns and negative oscillations and negative feedback loops and, patterns and cycles of destruction, things like that, you help yourself. So it really, really is true. And this is in my book, one of my self-improvement books. The first one, Sweet Potato Pie for the Spirit, Soul, and Psyche, which is a tribute to Oprah Winfrey and Super Soul Sundays. And I truly do credit Oprah Winfrey still with the self-improvement and power of psychology and therapy in the society. I really do. Although I also credit her with the weight loss phenomena and taking that head on. But I really do credit that with Oprah. She really did create a spotlight on mental health and wellness and self-improvement. And for that, I'm forever grateful. But the point is this, and she said this in a bunch of different ways, but when you help others, you help yourself, intended or not. So I'm not saying you should help others just to help yourself. That's not the point here. The point is that by helping others, you also help yourself, because you're helping an independent party in an objective way. And when you do that, it helps you subjectively, even though you don't realize it, right? If you help somebody else solve a puzzle, even though you're solving the puzzle for them or helping them with a project, you're learning along the way. So even if you help somebody else, you're learning. If you teach somebody else how to play cards, whether it's hearts or my one of my favorite card games, spades, or some other, or bridge, which I would love to learn how to play, or any of those games, when you help somebody else play, it reminds you and brings your recall of some of the basic rules that you might not think about when you're playing the game. The same thing is true of anything. If you're showing a child how to wash a car, or showing a child homework or things like that, it makes your mind think back to that point. And it's not about thinking back to that point in time. It's about the activity that awakens the part of your brain that became activated when you did it the first time. You're reactivating different parts of the brain that have either not been activated before, or that you're reactivating and experiencing that same thing. And so when you heal others, you heal yourself, and vice versa. When you heal, you help others heal, because then you can show and explain and tell them how they can do the same thing. So the point of this episode is healing is healing. It doesn't matter who you help heal, whether it's an animal or a person or yourself or your neighbor or your coworker or your best friend or your mother or your father or a complete stranger. When you heal, others heal. And when you help others heal, you heal. And that's the great thing about healing. And with that, that's this episode. So take home point, help yourself heal, and you're going to help the world heal. And help the world heal, and you're going to help yourself heal. And every other 360 degrees of healing that occurs from that will also happen. With that, happy Healing Day and happy World Healing Day to you. Take care and see you on the next episode. Bye.